This video is going to be a film study slash commentary look at Kevin Zeitler signing with the Detroit Lions. Of course, it's overdue, belated. I have multiple projects in between then and now, so forgive me for getting this out late on a Saturday during the NCAA tournament. Look, Zeitler is a veteran presence that the Lions have brought in. As a Ravens content creator, I have in detail or in-depth knowledge of his game. Ravens fans do as well, so you can expect some frustration in the comment section from Ravens fans because he was a really good player in Baltimore for 3 years. And the front office letting him go for only a one-year deal in Detroit has frustrated some people. He played with the Bengals, Browns, and Giants before signing with the Ravens right around this time of year in 2021. Look, he was released in New York after 2 seasons there. 5 days later, the Ravens signed him to a 3-year, $22.5 million contract. Unique situation for a guy to be released and then signed to a deal like that 5 days later. To me, he looks like the same player that he has been for 3 years in Baltimore. Solid in all phases. Tough as nails. Very strong. Look, you'll see him stand up and just stonewall these D tackles at times in the film portion of the video. I kind of felt guilty for how many plays I stacked into this video because I could have stopped compiling snaps after about 10 plays. It's pretty much all the same. I thought maybe there was 1 or 2 games in 2023 where he got beat once or twice each game. I suspect he played hurt in those instances. He's very good against the pass. Lions pairing him up with Sewell on the right side just forms an extremely experienced and smart duo. Shows an incredibly high level of awareness on film in that he can adjust during the play when there's a stunt or help teammates who've lost their guy in pass pro. You'll even see an example during this play of a RPO scheme where Tyler Linderbaum loses his guy who stunts across his face, and Zeitler's able to pick him up. He's able to pass off and communicate quickly on stunts or rush exchanges. I think for the commitment that the Lions gave 1 year, and I have no idea what the contract is, what the salary is, it's a smart deal. It's an offensive line rich draft. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Lions select an interior offensive lineman who can maybe play guard or center. But signing Zeitler means they don't have to do that early on at 29 or 61 or maybe even 73. They can just take the best talent available regardless of position. I think Brad Holmes is set up to ace this draft once again. They're in position to essentially do whatever they want to do from a position standpoint, not locked into one need. If there's a shutdown corner that falls to 29 for some reason, or a superb wide receiver talent is there, they can take him. Kevin Zeitler, to me, just adds the element to the Lions roster of putting the team in position to pick the best player available. We'll let some of the film flow through here. I'm not going to annotate or really, to be honest with you, describe each specific play. I don't think there's really any need to. You can see it for yourself. He's very good at anchoring against the bigger, larger, explosive defensive tackles. And that's why I chose to use film across multiple games, so you could see him matching up with various guys. I'll be honest with you, I didn't go searching for plays here in Pass Pro, meaning what I normally do is gather 40, 50 plays, cut that in half immediately, and then cut that down by another half, usually a subset of 10 or 12 plays that I think represents what you're going to get. I'll be honest with you, what I did was I went into my end zone angle view folder for each game, and I probably clicked on 14 plays overall and kept 80% of them because they all look the same. I was like, oh, that'll work each play. It's just consistently good pass pro. And at times, he really gives the quarterback, in this case Lamar Jackson, a large amount of space to work with. I'm going to digress a little bit here. Maybe this is connected enough for you. There's wins for offensive linemen. And then there are wins that give the quarterback so much space that they can choose whether to scramble out of there or work to the next receiver because the quarterback is aware I still have time. Because there's so much space available at this moment, I don't have to throw that particular ball. That's why I personally don't pay attention to, it's one of the reasons why I don't pay attention to rating services, because every win isn't the same in terms of the amount of space that's afforded to the quarterback on that, quote, win. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. In my opinion, Kevin Zeitler's wins are all often absolute. I think he recognizes stunts and blitzes, almost before they happen, and he's ready to adjust and pass off rushers quickly. He's going to be missed in Baltimore because of those reasons, how consistent he is in his effort, his reliability, and his toughness. Again, I think in the last 2 years, 2022, 2023, I think he played injured 4 or 5 games, meaning he had diminished strength but was still able to be productive. Those situations coincide with his worst games or performances, and this is just me going off memory. I can't stress it enough for you as a Lions fan. A healthy version of Zeitler next to Sewell is really an amazing job of roster building after you lost Jonah Jackson. I think it was pretty obvious everyone knew that Jackson was going to leave. Offensive line building here by the front office is exquisite, if you ask me, and puts the Lions offense in position to roll again in 2024. I'm not sure about you, if you're as excited as I am to see what Ben Johnson and the Lions staff does in terms of developing scheme and plays to use with various guys. I will mention one thing to you before we get into the run blocking. Kevin Zeitler means you won't have to pull Sewell on so many concepts, on as many concepts from one side of the formation to the other. Now, Sewell can get the job done, but Zeitler is equally adept from a guard position at getting there and kicking out off the edge. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Let's get to the run plays. By the way, I feel a little guilty for stacking so many plays in here that illustrate how unbelievable Lamar Jackson is. I know you guys are Lions fans, but I haven't watched a ton of Lamar Jackson film in the last 3 weeks because I've been watching so much free agent film and then NFL draft stuff. And then I turn the film on and I see some of the stuff that Lamar accomplished, and it just is shocking to me. But in any case, run concepts. What do you expect after you saw the pass pro? He's very versatile, physical, extremely aggressive. And this part, hopefully I can explain well for you. He attacks on run concepts at different angles depending on the scheme. Well, that makes sense, right? It's a different scheme. It's a different angle. The running back has a different aiming point or a different read. Kevin Zeitler is equally effective at all of those gap run schemes, inside zone, outside zone, or stretch. It just really doesn't matter. He's a high-level professional offensive lineman who can open up gaps in the defense on down kick schemes, which is a gap scheme, or one-on-one in zone or outside zone stretch concepts. You're getting a very good right guard who's extremely balanced and can provide assurance to the offensive coordinator that the job on each particular play will get done, whether it's a run or a pass play. If there is a relative weakness, which I don't really think there is at this point, maybe he's less athletic at getting out in space on screens. So there you go. Otherwise, I think Brad Holmes and the front office have upgraded the offensive line at minimal commitment from a year's standpoint, and now they can attack the draft with whatever they want, however the board falls. I think the combination of veteran signings is as good as any team in the league, including the Texans. DJ Reader, Davis III, Robertson, Zeitler are all starters. Marcus Davenport, I don't know as much about. I've gathered 30 plays to do a video, just haven't had time to create it. The production time, looking at about an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. In a weird way, and I suspect that a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. In a weird way, I almost think the Lions front office is playing with house money a little bit more this year. And I know that sounds crazy because they had 5 draft picks in the first 2 rounds last year. Well, 4 going in, and then they parlayed it into a 5th. So how? How can you say that? Because the roster's set at this point. The only question now is outside linebacker, D-end, on the other side from Hutchinson. You've got James Houston the 4th. Davenport, presumably. I'm a huge James Houston the 4th fan. He needs to stay healthy. and be able to produce like he did during that crazy second half of the season in 2022. Is that going to happen? Who knows? The Lions will definitely address outside linebacker. I will tell you that in the mock drafts that I have seen, by the time you get to 73, I'm not sure you're picking someone who is going to be a natural upgrade over Houston and Davenport from a run pass standpoint, being equally effective against both of those concepts. Hopefully, I said that in a way that makes sense. I think that Brad Holmes and those guys have done an amazing job of building the roster through free agency. I'm not going to say I'm surprised, just haven't seen them do that in previous years. That's not what they did prior to the 2023 season. The team was built or rebuilt through the draft, obviously. In this case, free agency, in my opinion, has put the roster, I should say, in an amazing position to be supplemented. Kevin Zeitler is just the latest example of that. High-level football player, very smart, very experienced. From the moment he showed up in Baltimore, our offensive line was vastly improved over what we saw previously. Now, some of that was due to injuries in previous seasons, but this is a guy who can execute everything that he's asked to do. Really consistent in pass pro. I know that people are going to quote PFF and other rating services. Feel free to gather the film as you wish from the first half of this video and use it or share it as you want. I can share it on Twitter if you guys want to. I was trying not to trigger Ravens fans by sharing Kevin Zeitler film on Twitter for Lions fans to enjoy. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you want to share it so other Lions fans can appreciate and get an idea of how good Kevin Zeitler is, I encourage you to do so. If you're looking for more draft content, I don't share a college film on my YouTube channel. I do share it on my Patreon and on Twitter. So if you would consider joining my Patreon, even if just for draft season, we generally do some mock drafts in the Discord that's associated with my Patreon and discuss the prospects that each team might draft. I appreciate you guys' time.